my aha moment were at Cambridge at 21. People were asking me to think for myself. This was the first time a woman had entered the business. Logistics and transportation was a male-dominated field. Business is about making decent returns decently. The whole world is looking at India. This is the country with growth. This is the country with excitement. When they talk to me, they're like, "You are so excited about work." Because she can, not because you have to, not because you should, but because you want to. Do what you love, and if you can't, then start loving what you do. Born and brought up in Delhi, born and brought up in a large joint family in central Delhi. Our house was from 1920s. There were 20 of us living together with my Taiji, Tauji, lots of cousins. School was very close by. So I remember walking everywhere. Lodi Garden was one of the closest parks. Dal Katora was somewhere we would go for evening walks. Evenings would be, trying to play cricket when my brothers would be fending us off. And really, I think going to India Gate for ice creams. So that also used to be our haunts on Tuesdays where we'd go for, evenings out. There would be the hot chocolate fudge that you used to get for 25 rupees. That would be a treat to really get. So it's been a fantastic place to grow up in. My inspirations were definitely my grandparents. My grandfather was Padam Shri Divya Jain. In his time, he started something called the Jaipur foot. These were prosthetic legs that you could put for people who'd lost limbs. And as a child, we used to, and there were 6 of us, 6 grandchildren. And every year we used to have a competition. For 500 rupees, you could put 1 limb. Now this is the cheapest prosthetic limb that has been produced in the world. So the competition was how many limbs could every child put every year. So I think that was a large part of our upbringing, that we used to collect all the money we could get from bake sales, from birthday parties, and we used to get a score at the end. And I remember even if you'd stop at a red light and you'd find someone who didn't have a foot, हम उन्हें गाड़ी में बिठा लेते थे that please come with us and we're going to take you to the center and get these feet placed. So I think that has definitely impacted a lot of my decisions, and really when I have looked at work and entrepreneurship, maybe there's an aspect of giving back or just being there for people beyond our immediate circle is something that's really impacted me. Who am I? Who is a woman? And the thing is that as a woman, I'm multiple personalities. First of all, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a child, I'm a princess, I'm a queen, I'm an entrepreneur. And I love the fact that I can manage all of that together. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between the male and the female form. A female form, by its very virtue, is a multitasker. I wish I could just wake up in the morning, go to work, come back, and that's it. Honestly, that wouldn't make me happy. That's not the life I'm destined for. It is challenging to be a woman in terms of being able to manage everything and give everything at your 100% and do it justice while keeping yourself happy. But I feel that's also one of the biggest blessings that I've got, is the ability that I can take decisions and do things which are different. I think we still need to rejig the rules. We still need to rejig in terms of what are our roles, what are our responsibilities, how can we share, how can we get rid of this mental guilt and mindset that we've probably got from our parents, from what we've seen, to adjust to the new world that we're now a part of. So most of all, what I've realized is there's nothing called balance, right? I don't think any day of mine looks the same. It's hard to quantify a week. There will always be something that is more pressing than the other thing. So there will be times where my family will take precedence. There will be times when my daughter needs me more, when my son has his Kathak performance and I need to be there. There is an event in the family, there is festivals, and there are times where you need to be at work. I've got a fundraise, I have events happening, and there will be days that I'm going to be out from morning to night. So I think I look at time in terms of chunks per week. So typically how I'll schedule my day would be on a Monday, writing down what my priorities for the week is and what do I need to get done. To who can I ask for help? If I'm not there, can I ask my mom-in-law, friends, family to step in and be there for, say, family or things that I'm not personally there for. Two things I do not ever compromise on, and you'd find it hard to believe, is my sleep. That's a whoop. I track it like, anything. I need my sleep. If I haven't slept, I'm half a person. The second thing are my workouts. So I will train no matter what. Morning, evening, night, I will take out that 60 minutes for myself, and that could be walking, jogging, weight training, playing a sport, but that 60 minutes keeps me sane. I've always wanted to do a lot of things. I have a massive bucket list even now. So I didn't chart this out. I started doing my economics at Hindu. Again, unbelievable experience, being in Delhi University. Hindu was a microcosm of India. You had people from everywhere in the country. So I think that was an amazing reality check. Also, just learning in the Indian education system. I'd applied, got through Cambridge, and I still remember walking into class. We had something called tutorials, where a tutor sits with you and does there are 4 of you sitting and thinking. And he was like, okay, fine, these are the laws that the economist told you, but Divya, what do you think? And I was just sort of taken aback. I was like, why, I've learnt up the answer, I will tell you exactly what you need to know. But he was like, no, but I want you to tell me what you think. And for me, that was literally my aha moment, where at Cambridge at 21, people were asking me to think for myself. And I think that's when I started thinking, and that's what that degree or the UK education did for me, was started questioning rules, laws. Just because something exists, that's not necessary. What, why, how do I interpret it? That really took me on my entrepreneurial journey. And with Safe Educate and with Seekho, I reached a point where we'd reached a certain scale. I had 100 centers. We have 50,000 students. I'm skilling across the country, and I was just feeling a little bit afraid, a little bit alone, and I just needed more and more direction. And my husband is an amazing support. I always go to him, and family to know more. But I just felt like scared to grow more. And that's when, HBS and this OPM program happened. And again, it was something I really wanted to do. It was something that was incredibly hard, because you're leaving 2 businesses, 2 kids, 11 and 8, to go to Boston, which is a completely different time zone, and spend 3 years, 1 month for 3 years. So doing it once is okay, but committing yourself for 3 years was harder than I thought it's going to be. And but again, I think it's been phenomenal. The ability to, at 40, take a break, take time out for yourself from what you're doing, from the daily rigors of life, and just spend that time reflecting. Why are you working? What's your purpose? What's working? What's not working? That's given me incredible clarity to move forward. Of course, the network of people that you've met, again, 140 people from 60 countries, is different people doing different things, different mindsets. The other thing I realized is everyone looks different, but sab same hai, sabki problem same hai. And at the end of the day, it's all personal. Business is personal. A lot of times we equate business with ego, separate that. And business at the end of the day is something that you're doing for society. So if you're able to separate that and make sure your personal life is something you are taking care of, and you're looking at business in terms of creating decent returns decently, it's a motto that I love, and I look forward to taking it forward in my life. So me and my husband, we've been childhood sweethearts, got married really early, came in. My father-in-law started this company called Safe Express. It was doing beautifully. So he jumped in, I jumped in. And what we realized that this is this mid-scale company that is growing incredibly fast. I had a background in consulting and banking. So I came in and we started setting up processes for the business. So again, this is a large company, offices everywhere, everyone had different systems, different processes. I still remember there was no one standardized bill that we were sending to customers. So I think I started setting up systems, processes, going to warehouses. Again, a little bit of a shift. This was the first time a woman had entered the business. Logistics and transportation was a male-dominated field. So there was always this mindset of लड़कियों का कुछ काम नहीं होता logistics में. I think the interesting part was the minute I came in, I brought in a different perspective because women think differently, and I was thinking and talking in a different language than maybe what currently existed. I realized that at this point there was this huge dichotomy because we were growing, we couldn't find people. In the news you'd hear about how India has the largest youth population and they're not getting jobs. So that really ended up with me starting out Safe Educate, which was a company that specialized in skilling people for logistics and supply chain. Essentially, we were looking at it for people for us, for our industry. And beyond a time, Safe is like, we're done with people, and I started looking at other companies. So, we actually train manpower for over 3,000 companies. And I started collaborating with the government. We've now collaborated with 12 state governments in different projects where we go to different states, work back with their youth population and train them across domains and profiles. Started with logistics, healthcare, retail. We now work in around 7 different profiles. 2020, COVID hit. One iconic day, Modi ji said ki, all my students need to go back home. That's when I frantically called my co-founders and I was like, can we do something? And that was the birth of Seeko, which was a COVID baby. And again, EdTech was something that really took off in that period of time, where we looked at setting up a platform that is connecting the youth with skills, but can we do this digitally was a platform. Another great piece of advice that I got and something I followed is, when you're starting work, decide what you're going to do and be really, really, really good at it. But more importantly, decide what you're not going to do. And that is going to be your biggest strategy statement. मुझे क्या नहीं करना है. If I'm training, I think I was very clear कि मेरे को supply chain and logistics में training करना है. And that was the box that I put Safe Educate in. Even with Seeko, we said, hey, we're going to look at skills which are non-coding related. So be really specific. I mean, if I'm working because she can, very specifically we're talking about, hey, we want to work with women and women empowerment. I think women in logistics, there definitely is not a sector that has traditionally welcomed women in the workforce. I think overall, if you look at the workforce, only 10% of our workforce today is actually women when you look at the formal ecosystem. It becomes even smaller when you're looking at startups, when you're looking at founders, etc. So I think it started off definitely at Safe Educate, where we talked about, can we get more women in the workplace? We had a mandate of 30% of all the people that we train are going to be women. And these women would then, initially they started off in softer roles like HR, customer service, but they're today managing warehouses, dispatch operations, supply chain operations. I've done a lot of case studies where we've actually found warehouses run by women are 13% more productive than ones which don't have women. The attrition of women is about 18% lower, because when a woman starts working, she actually doesn't want to leave. So we've actually got a lot of positive results, because at the end of the day, having women in the workplace doesn't need to be a compassionate decision. It needs to be a business decision. It's a decision that makes sense for women. And again, Because She Can is again a larger platform, which is about how can we empower more and more women to be in the workplace. We're talking about a Viksit Bharat in 2047. We're talking about a developed India in 2047. And trust me, I mean, like in Boston, in US, the whole world is looking at India. This is the country with growth. This is the country with excitement. When they talk to me, they're like, you are so excited about work. You know, everyone there is struggling कि हमारे को growth कहाँ से मिले? आप किसी company को खरीद लेते हैं. Like, you know, people are struggling with growth, and here we are a country, we are barely managing to sustain growth. Every single business person I'm talking to is saying, हम growth को कैसे manage करें? If you want to manage this kind of growth, that cannot exist when you have 50% of your population is not a part of your workforce. So I think that's what Because She Can is about, is how do we create an environment where more and more women can be a part of the workforce. And for me, I fundamentally believe that something needs to give, rules need to change. I mean, are we talking about a 50-50 workplace? Maybe not, but I think a 30-70 is very possible. On the ground, we are skilling young girls. We've so far skilled about 100 young women in different IT, education, English skills, helping them pick up opportunities they want to pick up. We're also exploring microcredit for women entrepreneurs with SHGs. Again, can we help women entrepreneurs set up their own enterprises? On a larger scale, our podcast is just bringing out stories of women doing different things. So that could be Zoya, who's one of the youngest pilots. It could be Madhu Chopra, who's Priyanka Chopra's mom, who decided to stay at home and help her daughter become the superstar that she is today. It's really about the choices that we as women make every day and being comfortable with it, and really just embracing them as, you know, as who we are. And, you know, just as because she can, like, not because you have to, not because you should, but because you want to. So, you know, and because she can, and it was really, really exciting because earlier in the year, you know, we were awarded the Anthem Award in New York with, you know, foundations of Elton John, of Taylor Swift, who are doing work with global impact. As you can see, I guess I am the ideas person. We are setting up Safe Educate. Safe Educate looks at setting up, you know, skilling schools across India. Again, growing incredibly fast. I had 12 states to get to, I had 100 centers to set up. We were struggling with getting the right infrastructure, getting these centers set up in time. And there was, again, in logistics, you have containers, shipping containers होते हैं, वो scrap हो जाते हैं, and they just become waste. So I ended up seeing these scrap containers, and we took these containers and we transformed those into schools. And these became container schools. They were inaugurated by PM Narendra Modi ji on 2015 and on World Skills Day. And these schools were then deployed in different areas across the country. So we deployed them in Bihar, we deployed them in Haryana, in Punjab, in Assam. And how they work is we set them up in a particular district. We train the young girls and boys in that region. And once it's done in 6 to 9 months, we'll pick it up and we'll take it to the next district and the next district and the next district. So we have over 20 of these schools. They've been deployed for the past 6 years. And you know, it's also really exciting because I think the districts get very excited कि हमारे गांव में क्या आया है. And then of course I mean the basic premise of this is, can we move people from the informal to the formal sector? So the minute you've taken them out of their houses into the schools and into formal workforce. So we do 50,000 students every year. 30% of these are women. %30 of our trucks in our country actually lie vacant because you don't have truck drivers to man these trucks. I went and talked to them. I talked to them and, you know, just interviewed the truck drivers who are working for us with other companies, and none of them want their kids to be truck drivers. So what are we doing? What is this country that we are creating? Some of the stories that I heard were heart-wrenching. People would not want them to be in the same space as them. They wouldn't want them to share meals together. तो ये truck drivers होते हैं, वो अपने खाना खुद बनाते हैं. In their trucks, they'd have their little setup. They're very, very finicky about their food. So they'd get their own grains, अपना छोटा सा stove, अपना वो लेके आते हैं. And they'll have little communities, amazing food by the way. And they'd sit and create their, they'd have their own meals because they weren't welcome in most other localities. They were treated with a sense of, because there'd be someone from Tamil Nadu who is coming all the way to the north. So they'd be treated with a lot of suspicion. It was a very hard life for them to sort of lead. There was one person I was talking to and he's like, मैं अपनी payment collect करने गया था. तो I was talking to this vendor, 1 दिन हो गया, 1.5 दिन हो गया. He didn't give me my payment. I said, भैया मैं सुबह से बैठा हुआ हूँ, पानी भी नहीं मिला है, मैं भी इंसान हूँ. And the man turned around and he said, अच्छा हमें तो लगा आप truck driver हो. The idea behind Horn Please was, can we change this narrative? Can we celebrate them instead of only looking at the negatives? Can we talk about the beautiful, like their trucks are their homes. जैसे आप अपना घर को decorate करते हो, वैसे वो अपनी truck को decorate करते हैं. They sit and paint their walls, they sit and paint the insides. They keep it incredibly neat, incredibly clean. Khalasi hota hai. Khalasi is because there'll be a helper. They keep the khalasi like their child, and they look after them. They have a community that exists within each other. We've used Bollywood, we looked at Bollywood. Bollywood have so much trucks and it's a part of our culture. So can we look at embracing it? So I think that's what Horn Please was. So the first thing is start with what is personal to you. Right? Don't try and solve a problem for Divya. Don't try and solve a problem for Ambika. Don't solve a Delhi, New York, US problem. Solve it where you live. If you live in Meerut, if you live in Ujjain, think about what is it that bothers you every morning, evening, night. I don't like the makeup I'm getting. I don't like the beauticians I've got. I don't get the right food. So I feel like business needs to be personal. Solve for something that you understand, solve for an issue that you feel very deeply about, which possibly doesn't feel like work for you. To charge, right? Friends and family are a great place to work. Be besharam. At some level, don't think about, oh, let me do this for free. If it's for free, it's not. You're not going to get value of it. So start charging. Put a value on anything that you're doing and getting. And again, don't be shy. You have to put yourself out there. Go and ask. Ask friends, family, anyone around you, your community for help. People will come up. And again, that's something that we as young women, people really want to help women. It's a feel-good factor. Don't wait for जब मेरी ऐप बनेगी तब मैं अपना बिजनेस चालू करूँगा. Like don't wait for the app. You have Instagram. You have so many tools available to you. Just go online, YouTube a few videos, start this thing, and the first thing I say is get that first 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 rupees into your bank account, because just that sense of empowerment you're going to get is going to give you the courage to take that next step. So don't wait, just go do it. I know Delhi, it's like a root. I feel like I'm a banyan tree with all its roots here. So everyone I love is here. So I think for me, that is definitely why I love Delhi. Honestly, I don't believe there's another place like Delhi where you can get everything. It gives you your freedom. It has the benefits of a cosmopolitan city. You also get all the help that you need. So if you think मैं ये भी कर सकती हूँ, ये भी कर सकती हूँ, you can do that because you live in Delhi. You are, the whole world is accessible to you on your fingertips. Oh God, pollution. And I think it's a solvable problem. This is not something that I want. It pains me to put my 8-year-old and 11-year-old's lungs through this kind of trauma and torture. So I really feel it's a solvable problem, but we need to start taking responsibility. It's not the government's problem, it's not the farmers' problems, it's each one of us. We need to stand up for the city we want to create. One piece of advice I'd give my younger self is don't stress so much. Life is incredibly exciting. You're gonna have a blast. You love roller coasters, and trust me, your life is a roller coaster, which goes on. But most of all, concentrate, sleep well, and keep moving. So best piece of advice, it comes from my father-in-law. He's my biggest mentor. Is do what you love, and if you can't, then start loving what you do. I would say my mom and my mother-in-law. I mean, I could come up with fancier names, but honestly, they've been my inspiration. The lives they've led, the kids they've brought up, my husband and me. But I think the lives that they've led and just the positivity that they create inspire me every day. I was 9 months pregnant, and we had just launched these container schools. I was working back with the Ministry of Skill, Rajesh Pratap Rudy ji, who was the skill minister at that point of time. And I was inviting him to please come and inaugurate my first school. And he said, nahi, abhi nahi kar sakte, World Skills Day aa raha hai, and I have to organize this huge program. I can't travel to Alwar, because at that point of time, the school was in Alwar. I said, no problem, हम अलवर से दिल्ली ले आते हैं. So he said, मोदी जी के साथ प्रोग्राम है. I don't know how to do it. I was like, एक काम करते हैं, मोदी जी से inaugurate कराते हैं. अलवर में, let's get it to Delhi. So he's sort of looking at my face. I was like, let's just do it. So we did it, and we got it from Alwar to Delhi with the students. वहाँ पे आ गए, and it was in विज्ञान भवन. मोदी जी का inauguration था दूसरे दिन. And I was like 9 months pregnant. Baby's gonna come any day. Everyone's petrified कि इसका baby यहाँ पे हो जाएगा, डॉक्टर रखें क्या रखें. The joke at that point of time was कि अगर लड़का हुआ तो उसका नाम कौशल is skill in Hindi, और लड़की हुई तो कौशल्या, which is again skill. So we're sitting there, and they're like, and I remember the head of security was like, ये container school तो अंदर नहीं जा सकता है because it's a security breach. I was like, ये तो जाएगा, and he's getting really scared. Like, why is this really heavily pregnant woman standing here? And madam, आपको घर जाना चाहिए. As fate would have it, it started raining, so the container was completely wet, and we didn't know how to take it in. So they're like, अब ये scrap कर देते हैं. I said नहीं. We got hair dryers from home, and I said, we're going to dry this and we're going to take it, and we basically stripped out the entire container to ensure that the security protocols could be met. So I think overnight the entire security team went through this, kind of stripped the whole place down, put it together, and I think everyone had kind of said no, but just the idea of a woman who is expecting her child saying that no, we have to take it and we have to do it, kind of mobilized everyone to go ahead and do it. So I think that was a time where I felt like you can really use sometimes problems or challenges to overcome what you normally wouldn't have. Maybe it had been a normal day and time, people might not have been as accommodating or as nice to get along with what I did. So I've often seen that being a woman, yes, there are challenges, there are roadblocks. When you're looking at funding, when you're looking at setting up a business, there's always a question of, is she serious? Will she do it? If we give her the project, what if she doesn't? What if something more important comes up? So I think that's obviously a challenge that you constantly deal with. So you win some, but you lose some, but you often win some. And we got Modi ji to inaugurate it. And this is off camera, but I had someone call up my husband or my father-in-law. बाकी सब तो ठीक है, बिटिया बहुत मोटी हो गई है. I think for me internationally it is definitely Lululemon. I love the fact that they kind of picked up fitness, but they didn't go the Adidas, Nike, Under Armour way. They literally went, so the founder of Lululemon really understood fabrics, and he really went into understanding ki when you are training, when you are doing yoga, so what is the problem? Why does that seem uncomfortable for a woman or for that person who's training? And he created a product that was so beautiful that I think if you train, there is no other brand that you would go for. They would get the local community involved with the store before launching it. So unlike a traditional, very heavy led marketing, ad, sales related sort of brand story, they've actually looked at the customer need, right? So I think back home in India, again, one of the stories, brands that I look up to is Indigo. It's an incredibly hard market to work with. Aviation is a space where everyone struggles, but it had the guts to kind of take something that was no frills, but they still made it very cool. I love the fact that they use ramps instead of the stairs to cut down timings. They were able to introduce paid meals, but the paid meals were also very, very cool, and it didn't matter if you were from the village, from Assam, from Jharkhand, from Delhi, from Bombay, you still love the nuts. So they created a brand that talked to everyone, that was cool enough for the college kid, but it was something that could be understood by anyone across the board. Dad, Rubel, Noor and Zahan. Dream. Honestly, the life I'm living right now, slowing down. Success, relationships. It's very hard. I don't consider anything a failure. I'm like, sab theek ho jayega. A chance to regroup, redo. I think a lot of my friends, Radhika, Tara, Gitika, constant.